everybody. How is everybody doing? Oh, good question. My dog is called Sandy, and there she is, just patiently waiting for me to finish my noisy flute practice. Yeah, so her name's Sandy. She's a miniature pincher, and often keeps me company during my practice sessions. So yes, please do ask any questions in the live chat, and I'll try to answer them in the next little section. First section is going to be based on Debussy Syrinx. If you have the music, that would be useful. But I've written out some exercises last night because it was a request to do Syrinx. And of course, it's one of our big pieces in the flute repertoire, so it's an important one. So I've got some warm-ups based on the music, which will also help you tackle any sort of technical issues in Syrinx. I've written out those. I will put them up on the stand like normal. It's a little bit homemade style. But I've also got it on Facebook and Instagram. I've uploaded those, so if you want to read over the exercises in your own time, you can check my Instagram, which is Rod Flute, and my Facebook, I think it's Roderick Seed Flute or Rod Flute, something like that. Okay, so if you can't find it, just let me know and I can send you the exercises by email or something. But anyway, they're going to be here. So yes, let's get started with Syrinx. So we have this opening melody, which goes something like, if we just take apart the skeleton of that, we get something without all the little notes. So we can practice that as a vocalese, and we can use harmonics as well because that's within range of harmonics. So if I turn that around, let's see if we can all see that. I don't know if that's clear. So we're starting right at the top here. So if you just take the beat 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 of that melody at the beginning, that's the skeleton of that. So let's play that together, just with a nice warm sound. So notice that we have a diminuendo and a repeated note at the end of the skeleton there. So that's a good follow on from yesterday when we did repeated notes with Moyse. That's what we've got here. Okay, now if we put that into harmonics, we go down an octave and then a fifth. So we all have harmonics of E flat, D flat, and C flat or low B if you've got the B foot. If not, just play a G flat, and then back to the E flat harmonic. So it'll be like this. Okay, let's try that together. It's a little awkward when you get to the D flat and then C flat because you have to go over the C key a little bit. So there'll be a little slide there, but that doesn't matter. Okay, let's try that. So that's just the harmonics. Okay, now switch back again to the real fingering and see if you can get that depth of sound that you got with the harmonics. So this will constantly shift between harmonics and real fingerings. So back to the real fingering. And really take care of the last note that you're diminishing all the way to the end. So follow through with the lower lip there. Right, let's make this into an exercise by going one note higher. So we're going to do E harmonic, start on an E, so just one semitone higher. So it's going to be E, D, C, E. So let's try that. And then normal fingering. Good. And then one note higher we have, let me just check, F, E flat, D flat, F. Okay. And then normal fingering. Next one, F sharp, E, D, F sharp, third harmonics of those. And the normal fingering, starting on C sharp. Final one, G, F, E flat, G, third harmonics of those. Normal fingering starting on D. Okay, so that's a little vocalese. You can keep going even higher with the harmonics as much as you like. So you can practice your high register with that. I always do harmonics just to warm up my high register because it can often come out quite thin when you first play. So just opening up the sound with harmonics is a really nice sort of stretch. Good. So the next bit, which is tricky in the actual piece, is when we have this E flat dropping to B flat after the often that B flat will come out a little flat. So you can actually do a trick fingering, which is this, and that. So you leave that one off, then all of those down and that one. So that's, and it's quite easy to get from E flat then, because you just take off this finger and the little finger. And you don't have to do much with the embouchure there. So that's a little sensitive fingering. There's Wib gave us a lot of these fingerings when we studied with him. So it's all written in my book. If you want some sensitive fingerings to help you with pitch, Those are in my book. But because it's difficult, we should practice it properly as well. So an exercise that I've just done here with harmonics again, my favorites, using just the same fingering going between the fourth harmonic and then the third. Okay, so the fourth harmonic of low E flat is the high E flat. That one, okay. So you go from the fourth down to the third in that rhythm with a diminuendo. Okay, so let's try that together, just from the fingering low E flat, get the fourth harmonic. And just drop to the third. So don't allow it to drop down to those ones. So just keep it on the third harmonic there. So we're going to do a whole series of them. So we'll start with E flat, and I'll just call out the low note name, and we'll do the same exercise but on that note. So let's start with E flat. Now let's do E natural. And we'll repeat that. Now F. F sharp. Okay, now let's go down to D, so below the E flat. And then low C sharp. Good. So you could try that on any note again, just with harmonics, and then you're really learning the technique of the jaw movement and the air direction, air speed. An extension of that is actually to practice going from that high harmonic all the way down to the lowest note. So if we just try that on an E flat, and then you can do all the other ones at home. So you get the top one, and just come down to the third one again. And then try the fourth one again, but skip the third and go to the second harmonic. And then skip that one and go down to the fundamental, the first harmonic. Okay, so let's try that again. So it's 4-3, 4-2, 4-1. Okay, so it's a good practice as well. You can do diminuendo, or you could do a crescendo. It's good practice to do both ways. All right, so that's that one. So that's working a lot more on flexibility and tone. We can then have a look at, just shove that behind here. some of the trickier fingerings. So we have up here where it goes between a B flat, an A natural, and a B natural. So let's do that 4 times as a triplet, just this first one. 1, 2. Now let's do it as a rhythm. Dum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum. So quaver and then 2 semis. Good. And then the rhythm of syrinx. Dum ba dum ba dum. So a dotted quaver and semi-quavers. I would recommend using that for the B flat because it's somehow a lot easier to get there quicker. Definitely not thumb B flat for that one. So either first finger here or there. Okay, let's just do the next one then, which is A flat, G, A natural. It has the same pattern of notes. So let's do 4 triplets. 1, 2. And then 4 with the second rhythm. And then the syrinx rhythm. So that one's tricky because you've got 2 fingers from the A natural to A flat. So they have to be super coordinated there so that we don't get like notes in between. All right, so make sure those fingers are coordinated. Next one, G flat, F, and then G natural. Okay, so 4 triplets. Next rhythm. And then syrinx rhythm. Good, so you can try that throughout there. I've just put, these are the first 2 are the ones that appear in syrinx. That's what we get in the piece. But I've just extended it so that we've got more finger exercises there as well, just for fun. Next one is where we have that figure in the piece. So practicing that on a chromatic scale. So we start with a B flat, F sharp, G, and then you go to B natural, F sharp, G, and C, F sharp, G. So you've got the same 2 notes on the bottom, but a rising scale, chromatic scale on the top. So if we did an octave like that, can we try that? So just triplets. Something like that. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Okay, so I haven't actually practiced that one. So yes, so you just have to write it out maybe as a chromatic scale would help. I didn't write it all out. Let's try it again because I need to practice it too. Ready? 1, 2. Okay, so got a bit better at that. then you can just make it a bit faster. So, or change the rhythm. So you're practicing it in the syrinx rhythm. Again, we're just kind of doing this very quickly, but watch it back and pause and take your time with it. Next one that I would do is a nice interval practice. And I would do this because we have that bit where it goes. There's that soft D flat octave. Again, there's a trick for that. If you just play D flat, and you just lift the first finger, that can just float out and it won't be flat. So that's a nice little trick. But again, let's practice the actual proper fingering and practice doing diminuendos from low D flat. And I would do that. I've written it with an octave first, but I'd actually start with a scale of D flat major. So it would be. So can we try that? So you just go up the scale on the upper note, but keep coming back to a louder D flat on the bottom. Let's try that. 1, 2. Okay, so gradually, when the interval gets bigger and wider, you have to do a little bit more movement with the jaw and increase the airspeed, but keep making sure that the top note is softer. So I'd give a little bit more and a bit of vibrato on the D flat, and then the top note can float out. So use it as a kind of springboard. Like we did with the Moyse intervals in the sonority book. Okay, and the last exercise is breathing and the skeleton again. So so that comes at about the bottom of the first page of the piece with lots of other notes. That bit at the bottom there. So this is just the skeleton of that. And it's quite a nice thing just to practice without all the little notes in between, as a sort of nice long phrase. And then you can change it. You can go up a semitone, practice it a semitone higher, and then another semitone. Just use it as a nice interval and breathing exercise. Okay, so that is what I would do to warm up for Syrinx. I hope that was of use. One of the questions, so if we just go into the question section now, one of them was, what do I do if I've only got 15 minutes every day to practice? And that's common, I think, for a lot of people who have jobs that aren't necessarily in the music profession, and you're not doing jobs where you need to practice. So it's just more of a hobby or whatever, and you've only got a limited amount of time. 15 minutes, I think, you can get stuff done. I would say, could you do 15 minutes at the beginning of the day and maybe 15 at the end? That would be even better. But if you've only got definitely 15, I would pick I would plan your practice very carefully so that you're getting a lot in that 15 minutes and really concentrated. So, for example, I would start with a tone exercise and change that every day. So I might do a sonority exercise from the Moyse book for Monday, and then Tuesday I might do a tone exercise of my own, or I might do one that I've learned from somewhere else. So pick a tone exercise of the day, so it's like soup of the day. Then you could do like a scale in a major key and a minor key, so the relative minor. So example, F major and D minor, and then just make it as challenging or as interesting as you can. Change the articulation if you want to practice articulation that day. Do scales in thirds, in fourths, but just stick to those keys so that you don't have to do the whole shebang. And then finish it off with a study or a piece just to sort of reward yourself. And with the piece, I would make sure that you're practicing some of those tricky bits in the warm up or the tone exercise at the beginning of your practice, so that you, like we do with these warm ups for Syrinx, practice some of the technical aspects initially. And then when you come to play the piece at the end, you can start to enjoy it a little bit more because you've done all the technical stuff. So that's what I would recommend if you've only got 15 minutes. Just maybe 3 things, 5 minutes each, and change it up every day so that you don't get bored. And then if you can fit in another 15 minutes, I would recommend that doing at the end of the day. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Feel free to type away, or if you can't think of a question now, you can send a message or comment on the video, and I'll try and answer that next week. So yes, tomorrow is holiday and Monday is holiday. So it's a nice long weekend to do lots of practice, and I'll be back on Tuesday, and I'll decide over the weekend what's going to be done, but probably some more Moyse 24 studies, and some more Moyse basically. So yeah, if you don't have any more questions for now, then I'll sign off and see you next week. Have a good weekend.